I love Metal Gear Solid. It's fundamental to me walking the path I've chosen over the last 17 years. I'm Joe Solo, and Metal Gear Solid is a Fanforge favorite. Metal Gear impressed me from the moment I saw the packaging and saw that first opening cutscene of the submarine and Colonel Campbell giving Snake that first mission. I'd never seen anything like it in a video game. I was hooked. Metal Gear Solid was impressive from the moment I got it as a gift. I unwrapped the game. I saw it was like super thick, 2 discs, had a white background, red shiny font, just said the name of the game, and I could tell it was something special. The only place I'd seen anything like what I was seeing in Metal Gear was in film. Metal Gear was really showing a side of games that I knew could exist but hadn't existed up until that point. To a kid, it was truly inspirational. It really was. I remember staying up for basically 2 days straight, back to back, trying to beat Metal Gear Solid because it was just so captivating. And it treated the medium of games the way I felt the medium of games deserved to be treated. If there was a case for games as an art form, I felt and still feel that Metal Gear is a game to point to when trying to make that case. Growing up, I was an avid reader, even more than I was a gamer. And up until Metal Gear Solid, I found a lot of the deeper imagery and storytelling I wanted to consume came from books, comic book floppies, and graphic novels. You could and can still read things in books that you just won't be portrayed in other media. Metal Gear Solid was the first time I had seen a game really tackle story and subject matter in such an adult, cinematic, and realistic kind of way. That cinematic imagery really helped kickstart my visual library and imparted on me so many memories. I remember being stuck on the Vulcan Raven fight. I remember running up the Hind D tower over and over again and being a bullet sponge for the Genome soldiers. I remember Metal Gear teaching me what a Hind D was. I remember so many different things, like seeing Cyborg Ninja for the first time and fighting Metal Gear Rex for the first time, and being part of a game that had you use all these different weapons and stealth gameplay. It was so inspiring, and it's still inspiring. I still play the original Metal Gear to this day. I still buy any new versions or remasters of the game that gets put out, so that way I can encourage Konami to keep the game alive and the core franchise alive. I have the game for PC, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 3, and the original PlayStation. I pretty much have it everywhere that I'm allowed to have it. The game came out in the late 90s, and it was doing what a lot of action movies were doing at the time, which, when you reflect back on it, was actually a little bit amazing. But at the time, as a kid, I just enjoyed it because it felt fresh and the gameplay was a lot of fun. Metal Gear was definitely ahead of its time, because when you start going through the concept art and supplemental material that's been released, you can see that a lot of modern techniques for making your big AAA games, they came from games like Metal Gear Solid, from having high quality concept art to having well thought out high quality writing to having fully fleshed out game design on paper before they even started anything. You even had high quality detailed 3D models and textures that used real world things as reference from the concept phase. Metal Gear took things to such a realistic and modern level that you can almost imagine a lot of the designs existing in real life, including the robotics and tech. One of the things that inspired me the most about Metal Gear Solid was Hideo Kojima and Yoji Shinkawa's involvement, especially Hideo Kojima's vision for how the product should come together. It's really important to have one or two people that have a singular vision for your game in charge or in positions of authority on your game team. These individuals are there to ensure the game takes the correct shape when it all comes together, and they're honestly more important than any community or group or piece of community feedback. They exist so that everyone on the team has somebody they can look to when they're not sure what to do or they're not sure how things are supposed to be. These singular developers help to give a consistency and artistic voice to the game that's being created. Hideo Kojima and Yoji Shinkawa both bring that focused, singular vision to everything they touch, and the teams they form understand this approach. They appreciate it. Looking back at game teams of the late 90s, I think one of the strengths studios had when they were making games like Metal Gear was having smaller teams. Yoji, for instance, he didn't just do concept art, he actually did 3D modeling as well. Back then, everybody did a little bit of everything, and now not only is everybody specialized, but the teams are huge. It makes it hard to make decisions quickly, pivot on decisions quickly, and it makes it hard to hold anyone, truly accountable. The modern approach is how leads end up more like managers instead of decision makers, because all they can really do is help manage the workload. They can't really help shape what the workload should be or really help shape the game. I still find smaller teams are really inspirational, and I'd love to see a small modern team make a game about the size and scope of Metal Gear Solid by themselves. Metal Gear is still a game that I mine for ideas and inspiration to this day. It will always be a favorite of mine and will probably always wrestle for the top spot on my games list for sure. I can't imagine Metal Gear Solid not being a part of my life, and that's why it's not just a Fanforge favorite, but it's one of my personal favorites as well. This has been Joe Solo. Until next time, peace. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more content from Fanforge, and please check out our website, fanforge.xyz.